এবং তার আগে আমার ইন্ডিয়াতে একজন hello, welcome to Prerona Television Canada. We are very happy that we are continuing our regular weekly research innovation on entrepreneurship speaker series. And we are very glad that we are having our fourth episode today. And we are very delighted that we have Mohammad Shahjan Siddiqui from Bangladesh. He's an illegal economist. And we're very grateful to him for his time and for his valuable contribution. So I would like to at least share with you, right, very briefly that why we are having this session. As we know that because of the pandemic, a lot of businesses are struggling. So we are based this Prerona Television Canada and the Global Academy of Holistic Leadership and Coaching is based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. We want to have series so that we can share our experience with the entrepreneurs or businesses so that we can use those resources or those training for during this pandemic. So in align with that, we are having today's session is SME, the small and medium enterprises financing. So the topic is SME financing, a global perspective. So we'll be getting some information, most information from Mohammad Shahjan Siddiqui and from my experience as a small business consultant here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I will share in Canada's perspective. So this will give you some um, kind of a global perspective, what is happening in small business, small and medium enterprises financing. So I'd like to ask Mohammad Shahjan Siddiqui to introduce yourself, please.
Hello, hi. This is Mohammad Shahjan Siddiqui. I'm a regular columnist in a local daily and an author, and, you can say an activist in regulatory reform in Bangladesh. That's all.
All right. So my first question to Mohammad Shahjan Siddiqui that, right, can you briefly share your experience in the, like, how you are involved in small and medium scale enterprises?
Medium and small enterprises are the first generation business, in fact. The entrepreneurs usually started their business with a small business. That's why this is the entry point of the entrepreneurs, usually. And also the importance of SME is in many aspects. They are the largest employer in any country, any economy. Another point is the SME is a low technology and also low labor intensive but low investment business. So that's why the SME are the attractive. These SME are the primary stage of bigger industry, and all the industrialized nation growing through SME. And that's why not only that, in the developing country also, a developed country also, the SME are the main driver of the economy. Because if you look into the North America, even in Canada and United States, you will find that the main employer, the SME, and So they are playing a very important role in economic activities.
Right. ca- can you actually name some of the, for example, SMEs in Bangladesh? Right.
SME, most of the industries here is SME. Because if you look into the remarkable industry, this garments industry, 80% of the garments industry is SME actually. So the beauty of this SME is they are very much linked to the global supply chain. That means they're small in size, but they're well equipped to face challenge competition from the global market, other global player from the other countries. So that's why it is a small but unique. This SMEs are playing a very important role in Bangladesh as well. Particularly if you talk about the garments, the export sector is dominated by them. They are the second largest employer in Bangladesh. First is the agriculture, but in many other countries you will find the SME is the main employer. They create jobs mostly in many economies. So that's why you could say that way uh, they are very remarkable. And in other sector also, not only in garments, Bangladesh is an agrarian economy. And if you look into the small business, non-agricultural economic activities are small, because all are SMEs. They are also playing a very important role in our economy. This non-agricultural trading or small manufacturing. They are supporting the local demand in the rural area, and also they are supplying their product to this town, all the urban areas. And also they are also exporter as well. And you will be surprised to know that the outsourcing business, there are many small units in east, in west, in north and south of Bangladesh. In Dinajpur, I know some of the entrepreneurs. They are running their small business, having 40 or 50 computers operators. They are working as outsourcing for the European buyers. They are doing the job, accounting job. They are designing some software, designing some product. So you can say if you they are very small, but if you accumulate or if you consider their strength, how an entrepreneur, a small business in Dinajpur, connected through internet to a buyer, a customer in Europe, and working for them. So now you can imagine the capability and strength of SME in any economy of any country, and also the role they are playing in global supply chain.
So my next question would be, right, in context of this growth of the economy, right, what are the hassles that they generally, right, face, right, when and during these current pandemic situations, definitely there are a lot of challenges. So can you name or mention some of the challenges that the SMEs are facing currently?
During the pandemic, the worst sufferer is the SMEs, especially the micro and small enterprises. Today, I was listening to a discussion that in Bangladesh, there are around 1 crore, that means in 10 million. Is it correct? 1 crore?
Yeah,
Uh,
10 million. Yes, 1 crore. That's correct.
10 million small and cottage industry in Bangladesh. And the challenge they are mostly affected because they have a very small capital. So they are running their show. They have said 2 or 3 workers. The entrepreneur himself is working as a worker. He is actively serving or manufacturing the product. So there are 2 workers employed and the owner himself. These are the small business. Uh, During the pandemic, they have stopped. There was no customer, so they are not producing. So they lost their business. They lost their capital. They have eaten up their own capital. And or before the pandemic, they are also these SMEs are not registered with the government. They don't have different documents. They don't have access to bank credit. So they are lacking the technology. They don't have that exposure to outside their own area of work. So the, the, the opportunity of improvement is very low. So that's why they don't have capital, they don't have technology, their market is very small. So usually some product they are producing, they are selling in the small market. Their customers also, the localized, local customers. So this is SMEs are vulnerable to any economic impact or any disaster. Any natural disaster, economic meltdown, or now the pandemic, all the first victim is the SMEs. So these are the main challenges they have, and also the employees of SMEs. Their job is very insecure. Their salary is low because they can't follow the labor law. They are not paying the exact amount of wages as per law of the country, and they don't have any employment. In total, this sector is very unorganized. At the same time, they are playing the key role in the economy. This is a very interesting, diversified situation. They are very unorganized. They are not listed to the government. They are not registered. They don't have access to the finance. They are the largest employer in the country. At the same time, they are very unorganized. They don't follow the labor law. They are paying the low wages, but they are the major employer. So all this complex situation is related to SME.
Right. Is there any government benefits or any like you call Pranodana or packages are there for SMEs?
Yes, there is a stimulus package offered by Bangladesh government, 20,000 crore taka. And the offer is very interesting because government declared that the total fixed interest rate is 9%. Government offered to pay 5%, and the entrepreneurs, they will take the loan, they will pay 4% interest. So altogether 9% interest bank will get from the out of the stimulus package offered to SMEs. But the challenge is different. The package has the most important criteria is the loan will be given to the borrowers or the SMEs on the basis of customer bank relationship. That means bank will pay to the borrowers, SMEs whom they already know, or they can follow the KYC, know the customer. But the what I said earlier, they are not related, not registered with the government. They don't maintain the bank account. They don't have a relationship with the banks. So when the bank consider the applications, the most of the SMEs in Bangladesh are not eligible to get the loan. So at the same time, these SME, major portion of the SMEs don't have security or fixed asset to give mortgage. Bank is not willing to give this credit to the borrowers without any security. And also feasibility study. It's very difficult to have a feasibility study of a application of a SME because SME don't maintain their books of account. They don't have cash book. So it's very difficult for a bank to assess the cash flow of this bank business. So in totality, it's very difficult job for the banker to assess and decide to pay, give credit or not. At the same time, the SME is also, there was a study in Bangladesh a few years back. 50% of the SME even don't know about the stimulus package, not to speak of the negotiation or having the stimulus package from the bank. So these are the challenges for the SMEs. At the same time, if I tell you, in any other countries, in many countries, the government used to offer the stimulus package to offer this credit without any security, without any mortgage. Government used to give this security or coverage for this credit. But in Bangladesh, it is not offered like that. So definitely government may not have that capacity even. So that's why the stimulus package is mostly underutilized or unutilized. Say they could not even distribute more than 25% of this 20,000 crore taka.
So my other question is, other than these stimulus packages, what else SMEs can do during this pandemic to recover? Is there any other suggestion or solution, like
Yes,
to fight?
they are doing, they are surviving, they are trying to survive or revive their business from their own source, from own front. Because when they have started their business, they took the capital from the family, or they took the loan from the informal money lenders at a very high interest. So the same thing they are doing. They are approaching the informal money lenders. Naturally, the interest rate is very high, 4 or 5 times higher than the normal bank interest rate. And also there is another type of finance, that is the supply chain finance. These small business, either they are getting the raw materials from the source on credit, or they are taking some advance money from the buyer to procure the working capital. These are the method they are following. And also there is a very interesting cooperation between business to business in our countries, especially in regards to the SMEs. One business is supporting another business. So it is a historical relation, because since the SMEs are not bankable, there is no formal organization or government support for the SMEs. So they are developing their own source, own fund, own credit system to survive and also to develop their own business. These are the procedures they are following to come back to the business again.
So my other question would be, right, when they're having like getting loans, or like as you said, like supply chain finances, right? Right. Is there any like like in some cases, are they failing to pay back, or they will be failing to pay back, or like so in that situation, like what can be done, right? Means because they are actually going not the traditional like financing, right? They're following the other lenders and other like supply chain finances and everything. So what is the actually worst case scenario? What happens actually to those businesses? Do they close down, or like do like
They close down. They close down, and also the lenders excuse them. These are the very unique situation. The bank never write off their loan. It's not. It is. This policy is not there in of the bank. This way or that way, they will go to the court. They will sue the borrower. But in case of informal transaction of loan, these the lenders, in most of the cases, say the borrower dies. In that case, they excuse the family. But bank never do that. In some cases, I can tell you, during the pandemic started just in March this year. Uh, I was talking to some SMEs, the shopkeepers, the shari shops in Bailey Road. I was talking to some of the owners, what they are doing. They says the weavers who supply shari to these shops, they are very poor weavers in North India area, say for example, of Tangai. What they did, the shopkeeper used to pay them very small amount as loan for their survival, to buy food, only to survive. So for few months, these shopkeepers try to support this weaver for few months, with the hope that pandemic will over, then they will adjust this credit, this money gradually, not in a single stroke. They will pay it gradually. They will supply the shadi, they will work hard, they will take some money they will, shopkeeper will retain to adjust the credit. These are the unique method in our country. One category of businessmen support the another category of businessmen, or the manufacturer, or the suppliers. That's why I say this supply chain credit is a very unique, very organized system in our country. It is a historical relation between different segment of business. It is not like that export. In global supply chain, what I saw that many Western buyer, despite the order or LC, they have cancelled the order, they withdraw their LC. So many garments exporter in Bangladesh stuck up with the stock manufactured product. So they are counting the heavy interest, and most of some of the textile garments industry became bankrupt. Even of course some Western buyers also became bankrupt. But if you compare this global supply chain and the local supply chain in Bangladesh, the way they behaved, the way they consider the problem of their suppliers or their buyers, it is very unique, more human, and also more organized and sympathetic to each other. And it's good for the economy. And that's why you can see that neighboring countries, all the countries, their growth is negative. But Bangladesh, in this region, Bangladesh is the only country having 3.5% growth in GDP during this pandemic period. It is one of the highest in the world as well, not only in South Asia. In the world, Bangladesh has shown the resilience to come back to the business and gradually improving the economic activities, production and supply, total economic activities. So it's remarkable. I believe is one of the reason is this support of the one business by others, and global this supply chain, domestic supply chain system is very organized, and well, they are working very well mannered and sympathetic to each other. That's why most probably our economy is recovering very rapidly comparing the other economies.
Historically, if I see that Bangladesh is like a disaster-prone uh, area where we have seen like number of disaster, and then but the businesses or even the inhabitants of the like the communities are coming back, right? That resilience is still there. So I
Uh-huh.
guess that this is for businesses also, for small businesses, because we have seen adversities. We have seen uh, situations that is not favorable for our segment. Not only the pandemic, we have seen floods, a big major floods where country were like largely affected, and seen that after that people try to build up, and this is actually a phenomenon development after that things. I have another questions because we see we have our one of the largest export, I think garments, ready-made garments industries. What is the current status like after this pandemic? You have mentioned some that some of the orders has been cancelled, or and then like so in generally, right, what is happening right now in that particular sector?
We have seen very ups and downs in this sector. During this April, May, we saw that many order has been cancelled. April, May, June, July. But when the economy has been opened up, garments started exporting, producing garments, then situation changes in June, in fact. They have started exporting, despite many obstacles, they have started their products. And also many cancel order also, the buyers came back again and revived the orders. And interesting enough, after June, July, the export was growing. And in August, incidentally, the export was double than in August 20, the export was double than the August 19, 2019. It's very interesting. And many people started investigating the reason how it is possible that uh, in in August 20, Bangladesh garments industry exported around more than $3 billion worth. So the situation was, after the investigation, it is found that uh, all the pending orders of March, April, May, June, simultaneously they have shipped out in August. Now, even then, still in September, October, the order is growing or stable condition. And also some more order is coming. I believe some around few hundred garments industry has shut down during this pandemic, but others are survived. Those who survived, they are trying to recover, because the stimulus package for of the government was one of the best for the garments industry, because in April, May, government has extended a credit line of 5,000 crore taka for paying the salaries of the garments industry. And government has managed it very nicely, because government has given this, transferred this money directly to the account of workers.
So
They have not
5,000
given,
crore means 500 million.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this money was nicely utilized. It is this is a special credit, only against the 2% interest, repayable within 1 year. So although the entrepreneurs are paying back this money, but initially the money has been transferred to the workers' account. So it was very effective and successful uh, program, stimulus program. Then also this garments industry also got uh, this credit, special credit facility or other stimulus packages. So they survive. Even that there was a package, another package of credit. It is export support credit in US dollar, because the garments industry get their order uh, master LC from the European buyer. So then they open LC for raw materials to China or any other countries. When the raw materials arrive, they produce the product, but immediately they have to pay to the Chinese exporter. So, but they will get the money after 3 or 4 months after shipment. Even there is a system of credit. After they will get the money, say 90 days after the shipment. So the gap between this period is around 180 days. So for this 180 days, there is a package credit of Bangladesh Bank, so that the exporter Garments industry can buy raw materials from China against the cash LC. They take the delivery of the raw materials, produce the garments, export it to the European or American market. Then they get the money and adjust this credit with the central bank. So the breeze between, the gap between the shipment of the raw materials and getting the export proceeds from the Western buyers, it is 90 days or 120 days or 180 days. This period, they give a breeze financing. So that is also government extended for 2 years, especially for now, this period. So these are the special packages, very successful package. That's why the situation in garment sector is relatively better, I should say.
So if I understand correctly, there are businesses those who are having continual, like because you say historical relation with the export, the market in the Europe or Western market, right? So some businesses are already revived and they're continually doing, and they have already rehired or they're already having employees, if I understand correctly. So, but there are some businesses, few businesses, they have already shut down. So, what are the actually major reasons that those businesses couldn't survive? Don't they have right enough orders, or like, or they are smaller businesses than the others, or they have issues with the capital? What are the major reasons that they couldn't able to survive?
The major reason is the total transaction. Because say, for example, this tourism industry, service industry, there is no border in the hotel, zero. So how they will survive? Say for example, tourism industry, the Cox's Bazar, the total economics of our Cox's Bazar, sea beach, say the hotel, restaurant, other service, those totally dependent upon the tourist, their expenditure. So during pandemic, early pandemic, there was no tourist in Cox's Bazar. So all, not only the single business, all this business in this area uh, was almost came to zero. That's why this business they could not survive for many longer period. And there are some products, say for example the luxury product. During this pandemic period, throughout the world, which business are good? Only the food business, food item, essential items. As for the luxury products, there was no people hardly going to market to buy a car. They are not going outside for tourism. They are not buying a costly product. Everybody is compromising on their purchase. So those who are in this business, they don't have a business. So that's why they have gone out of business. And also the in this area, in particularly say developing country like Bangladesh, everybody have the constraint of working capital. So especially the SMEs, they don't have enough money. So when they stop their business, the entrepreneurs eat up their working capital to buy their essential item, buy their food. So after a few months, they have gone bankrupt, totally bankrupt. So they have gone out of business. So I can cite an example that's a newspaper. For a few months, we stopped reading the newspaper. Not to speak of the newspaper industry, or the press, or the publications. They have reduced their publication online. They are surviving. But the hawker who used to deliver the newspaper to my residence, this hawker has gone total out of business. There is no customer to buy the paid newspaper. So somehow with heavy loss, the publication company survived. But what about the hawker? He was almost a daily laborer. He used to earn his money, daily earn money, and daily they buy their food and survive. So they are totally out of the business.
Right. So thank you. Now I'd like to ask more about this global question about like this global supply chain management, right? How right in terms of those businesses, how are actually they're actually surviving or how they're connecting with the global supply chain management during this pandemic. So maybe you can cite one or two businesses that are more likely attached actually to global supply chain management.
Bangladesh is mostly in global supply chain of garments. And I've already explained that there was a just during the start of the pandemic in Bangladesh in March, early March, suddenly we find that most of the garments buyers canceled their orders. And again in June they came back. Some of them came back. So this link between it is not only for the fear of the order. Sometimes some of the buyer in Europe and in North America, they have gone bankrupt. They are not in a position to take the delivery. They are not in a position to pay the money. So that's why there was a breakup of chain between these two buyer and seller. Not only that, there was a stop of shipment for raw materials from China. There was no ship, no materials were coming to Bangladesh. And when the raw materials came here, there is no space to keep this stock because the supply chain is so smooth. Raw materials is coming, they produce the garments, they deliver it to the forwarding agent for deliver to the ship. Ship will go. So the chain is so unique. If there is any disruption anywhere, the whole chain became non-functional. That happened in case of garments, and it is the same story for all the chain. It is not only the garments, all the chain in globally. We are related to garments. There are many other supply chain of food. Say for example the food delivery. Uh, every country of the world have their own capacity of holding the food stuff. If there is any disruption of the supply, then their stock may be for 3 months. So after 3 months, then there is a shortage, a scarcity. Although it never happened, especially nowadays, uh, especially with the food supply, it's everybody is very careful. So even during the pandemic, there was a special arrangement to deliver the food item at least. But for other essential item, say for the luxury item, there is no supply, no delivery, no purchase, no demand. That's why the total breakdown of demand and supply. So it is true for all the products in the world.
Now, other than the government benefits like stimulus packages, or like what are the other government initiatives has been taken in terms of supporting the small and medium enterprises?
The support they in many other countries also in your Canada also, what they did, the government paid the wages to the workers, so employers relieved of this responsibility. They subsidize the electricity bill, water bill, utility bill, house rent, uh, and also in many other countries also, they have supported the small industry by withholding the payment of utilities. These are the another option. So these are the best option, I should say, because and they also pay the salary directly to the workers, the either total or partially the wages. So these are the benefit directly went to the actual end users or the actual consumers. Then consumer could spend this money for buying their essentials. So that is the best. I should say uh, Bangladesh government has given the credit, extended the credit through bank, but it is more useful to give them support through utility bill, paying this wages to wages, and other stimulus packages, other support to the small industries, small businesses.
I have another questions regarding the policy, like government, like in terms of the facilitations of growth of SMEs, not necessarily for the pandemic situation. In generally, like generally, what are the other hassles like when in terms of government policies for the export and import? Is there any challenges the current SMEs are having? I'm not talking about this pandemic situation, but generally, is there anything that are actually emerging challenges, or maybe the major challenges are there for SMEs for the growth, for their growth in Bangladesh?
If you look into the ease of doing business indexes, you will find that they have identified 10 variables, 10 index, which is barrier to the business. Or these are the regulatory barrier, registration, startup business barrier, enforcement of contract, uh, logistics, high interest rate, difficulties in payment of taxes, recovery of the money, enforcement of the contract. These are the many challenges all the business facing throughout the world. Some of the country, they could reduce this obstacle, and that's why. And some country like Bangladesh, the regulatory barrier is very high. Out of 190 countries, World Bank used to survey, the position of Bangladesh is 187. They are in the last part of the serial. So the obstacle is very high in our country. So all this obstacle these industries are facing and SMEs are facing. Despite all this obstacle, Bangladesh is growing. But if you think that, just imagine that if we can get an easy doing business atmosphere like Singapore, one of the best, Scandinavian countries, they are the best. Some in Africa, Rwanda is the in a very good position. So these are the countries, they have created the atmosphere to make the business easier. These problems exist in Bangladesh and many other, mostly in developing countries. These are the barrier they are facing to have day-to-day business and also surviving in their business.
The next issues that I would like to mention is like as you know that because of pandemic, a lot of businesses already shut down, and also there are businesses that like you also mentioned that there are businesses in Europe or Western countries, they have already bankruptcy, declared bankruptcy, so they're also closed down their businesses due to pandemic things. So exploring new markets, right? Is a process like for marketing process, like, so what do you think that the SMEs, like especially if you take an example of garments industry, right? How do they actually like exploring new markets like more aggressively? Is it, are they doing going to a new markets if they are, if some of the businesses are already been closed, like what they're doing, are they doing exploring new markets? And my next question after that, if you can address the technology, because of this one, how the technology is used for these like for this situation, right, in favor for the SMEs.
Ah, Uh, Definitely, they are looking for the alternate market, but when the market is dull, situation is not favorable. It's very difficult for a business to get into a new market. So they are exploring definitely. They try to explore. Even then, in this pandemic period, Bangladesh is trying to switch over their export market to Africa, Latin America, Middle Eastern countries, some Asian market. One of the growing market in Asia is the Japan and China for Bangladesh. they have opened up their market for Bangladesh products. So these are the opportunity they are also exploring. Government also supporting this program, and also overseas countries also came up with the special facilities. Say, for example, during the September, the Chinese government have opened up their market for duty-free access for new 5,000 products. So Bangladesh exporter can export their product to Chinese market without and no need to pay the duty. So these are the new opportunity opened up for Bangladesh. So they are trying, but during this crisis period, it's not very convenient to find the new market because the buyers are also in crisis. It is a global pandemic problem. It's not for the Bangladesh. And for the technology, it's very interesting that during this pandemic period, we find this use of technology is huge for online business. Our domestic supply chain, even the overseas supply chain also developed very high. And also, interestingly, many new market has opened up for the business, domestically and in overseas market also. So, and if you talk about your question was the technology, it is purely on technology based business platform. All the business trying to do that, and particularly in Bangladesh, the household here, they have started learning how to place order, how to get delivery, and also this small platform, those who are using their own platform or using the Facebook platform, they are delivering their product. They are also learning how to take a order, how to advertise. The one simple problem we are facing, not only simple, it's a very complicated situation. Somebody display their product photograph. The customers used to look into the photograph and select the product and place order. When the product come delivered, they find that it's not what they saw in the photo. Naturally, there will be a small deviation from the photograph to the actual product. But it is a matter of experience, or this is a matter of how this seller take the photograph, how they place the photography in the online. And it is also on the part of the buyer to understand the quality, the color difference between the photograph and the actual product. So, and the honesty of the suppliers. They may give a very quality product advertisement, but they deliver the inferior quality. It's possible, and it was happening in Bangladesh also. So they are also learning, and the delivery system. Now Bangladesh have few small, big, I should say, not small, in the context of Bangladesh. They are only in delivery business. There are some individual young boys. They enter into the market with their motorcycle or their car for delivering the product, and this is their profession. They are the student of universities. They enter into this profession to deliver the product to the customers. So these are the new business opportunity came up, and also the payment of the money product, online payment, or through the say bKash, Rocket, or some other debit card, credit card. So all these things are technology based, and Bangladesh people used now adapting this technology and working very nicely. It is not only in the domestic market, in the global market as well. And the same thing is happening in the global market. And Bangladesh also recently entered with a very limited scale in some of the platform they are using to sell their product. Say Alibaba also have a platform. Some of the Bangladesh exporters using their platform to sell their product to other market. So if these are happening, they're coming up. And also the some of the problem automation of the industry, automation of the production, and everything is trying to. There is a shift, there is a change facing the new normal situation, and the producer also changing, buyers also changing, the taste also changes. Uh, our taste also changes a lot. So we are trying to adjust with the problem. And anything we are changing, we are adapting new technology. So it's very
In
interesting.
terms of the technology, I'd like to share some like thoughts. Generally, using technology is one way, like using how to use the technology. For example, a particular software or platform where you can order or the e-commerce, right? Though through order or keep tracks, how you're doing. There's another thing. The other thing is using the business intelligence, like because AI, artificial intelligence, of thing, how to use those informations and then do more like sometimes for some organizations there maybe or some sectors it is actually a sector or particular groups actually they are buying that business intelligence for that particular sector because sometimes this business intelligence can be very expensive because the AI, the artificial intelligence, and other things, so they are very expensive because they do a lot of studies, but they are selling their report or studies or research, and it is not cheap. And for small and medium scale industry or enterprises, it will be very expensive for them to buy those information. And then for some of them will not be they'd not be a tech savvy, like for example like ordering the products, keeping track of the product, that is just using the platform, probably a software or particular things, but using that business intelligence, artificial intelligence of the how the customers are, customer perceptions, what how many customers are using, and through that like how the customer the particular products goes to the products and the research and development, and then uh, like new product developments and everything. So that is another actually right way, and it might be very expensive for a small and medium scale enterprises to get those research or the products. So I'm not sure about the market there, how actually some businesses are doing, but I know there are large corporations in Bangladesh I worked with, they are having, they are actually getting some business intelligence reports for their businesses because they are having operations maybe globally, like like for example, pharmaceutical businesses. I know they're using this one. I work with that. There is also like a not-profit organization. They have number of offices across the globe. They are using some business intelligence globally, so those are actually business leader and they have the resources, technologies, expertise. So use those resources. Now, before I actually conclude, I have an just to give an idea what is happening in Canada. Maybe probably we'll have another sessions, but in generally, as you've already mentioned, that government has already, federal government has already given some packages for Canada, like for the with CERB, right, Canadian. Uh, this wage subsidy program, and also for the businesses there's a lot of business loans where they don't need a collateral or like a very easy loan, right? They apply and they're actually providing loan for rental, right? If you are paying rent, so there are a lot of offers are there. That means a lot of businesses, not from only the federal government, but also that Export Development, the Baroda EDC Corporation. They're also having packages, and also there are other trade bodies like they're having also some packages. So it's all over. There are benefits to at least for the small and medium scale or medium enterprises here in Canada. So I guess we're fortunate enough to get this support for small businesses. But they're like countries like developing countries, as you know that they have did maybe to their capacity, but it's not possible to support right for with the larger right with even though they supported. I believe that in the governance or that how they monitor, as you have already mentioned, they only use 25% of those loans that they have already provided. I think $2 billion a loan, if I'm not mistaken, 2,000 crore. or maybe something like that. So they have a but only 25% is been used because they don't have that governance. Or how the bank, because the small and medium scale industries or that enterprises, they don't have that credit, or they don't have the relationship with the banks, so they can't get those loans, or they can get these things. And bank is, even though they have willingness, they are unable to help those small and medium scale industries. So it is very, I think, useful discussion today. Thank you very much for your contribution, and we learn a lot of things actually, like a lot of challenges and how things. One of the promising things there are, I think, there are some setbacks, but even though we have some setbacks or the drawbacks, we do have some promising things. As you have already mentioned, the resilience, and then the businesses are doing how doing. You already mentioned the GDP growth compared to other nations. It's very promising. I think if you compare to the neighboring country like India, Bangladesh is doing much better than India, and there I think is minus grow. Like I think they might be coming
5%.
back again, but for now I think they are in minus the GDP things. And now Bangladesh is doing really well, and this is a promising things. Even though we have challenges, we have Bangladesh is having issues. I think this is actually a positive thing. And so my last question, that the concluding remarks, right? We have already discussed a lot of things. What do you want to say, right, for like policy advocacy level and generally to the audience or to the government, right? In summarizing our discussion today.
The same, I were to refer to your discussion that the Canada is giving the easy loan without any collateral. In order to support these SMEs, particularly the business and SME, small business, government should have listing the genuine entrepreneurs and also give them credit without any collateral immediately, as soon as possible, so that they can very quickly come back to the economy, in their business. And also this money will be distributed among the common people, workers, the small traders, and it will regular circulate in the economy, and economy will grow further, and so that we can go back very quickly, go back to the pre-COVID period of the economy, and started going again at more than 8%, 9% growth. So that's why, in order to go back to our original form of economic development, we need immediate support of small and cottage industries. But that is only possible, not possible through banking channel. It should be an informal channel, maybe through NGO, or directly government will intervene, or government give a shadow collateral for this credit to extend to this small micro enterprises. That will be my suggestion.
Thank you very much. I think this is actually generally means the concept, or this is actually we are expecting this one, but there are challenges. I have been working in both countries, like been, so I have seen the governance is one of the things, like but it is very possible to at least do a pilot projects or to a particular sector, businesses, those who are paying taxes regularly, those who are actually they have a good governance, or they are having a good relationships with them. So I guess this is actually, it's not one way actually, so it should be two way. So I won't say that it is only the government, but it is also the industries. Here we see most businesses here 90, like people pay taxes, people are responsible, and then they, generally, compared to another thing, the governance are having the good governance is there. So like this responsibility is there, right? So I guess this is one of the things. This is sometimes risky, right, for for the parties to invest, whether they are not sure whether the particular goals are to be achieved or not. So I guess this is challenging. It might, right, it is actually it's already started, but I guess it is a little longer time, may take a little longer time to come to that point. So I'm still like with I'm actually with, I sympathize or empathize to with your things, but I believe that they have to come forward. Means that the main principle, like they have to come forward and do that, build that relationship, because unless you come forward, you can't, start the process. There might be some like setbacks, or there might be some challenges, but I guess in both parties has to come forward. And as also I also mentioned that from like the law, from the business perspective to also, they also need to build a good governance, right? They have to, so they have to pay the taxes, they have to also right, right, be good to the employee and also the environment. I have seen that some of the European buyers, or like even the Western buyers, they're asking, okay, these countries, and they are not treating their employees well, or maybe this particular cases of fire safety issues on the particular collapse of the things. Okay, now they are not interested to invest, they are not wanted to buy the product, because they have a notion that they are not taking care of that employees, or they're not taking care of this one. I have seen that, and I have seen, no, right, this is not the fact. I was advocating, no, they're doing very well. I have been advocating, right, okay, but I seen that there is a, like, people are concerned, right? And you can remember those one of the cases I work in, the case studies, also the child labor thing, child labor issues, where in the US, in China, US, law, right, this thing, they stopped that, that importing from Bangladesh in one point of time. And then the child labor, and then there was an agreement, and then it has actually a big tension at that point. It was a big crisis in that market, like many years back. But I remember I worked in that particular case studies on child labor, and then like it was resolved later, and then we get things. But see that how that supply chain management is also the looking for the good governance, like and also the good practices. Are you responsible to that employees? I remember I also did another studies for among the leather export, and things. I went to the tanneries, and we did a studies and see that how unhealthy environment in the tanneries, the employees, and then the hygiene, and then things, and then like I've seen that some foreign buyers, they were not interested to invest into the particular sectors because of this particular conditions. So I guess it is very much important that to at least have that in mind. We need to have the a good governance for that industries, and also the same time the government should come forward and also help the industries, and then we can build the relationships. As we know that we have already we are doing very well, and then Bangladesh is doing very well. So I guess it is actually important to at least continue that process, and that encourage others, those who are not practicing the good practices. So they want to encourage others to at least, so that they can have good practices. Yes. Do you have anything to say, Mohammed?
No, no, thank you. You have
Yeah, thank you
concluded
so much.
nice.
Thank you so much for your time. With that, I'd like to invite you for the next session. Our every week sessions is every Sunday. In every Sunday is in Edmonton Mountain Standard Time. GMT -7 is at 8 a.m. in the morning, and in Toronto, Ottawa, and Eastern Standard Time, it is actually 10 a.m. in the morning, which is GMT -5. And then in Bangladesh, Dhaka, Bangladesh, or anywhere in Bangladesh, it is on Sunday. It is actually 9 p.m. in the evening, and which is GMT +6, if I remember correctly. And then in India, the time is on Sunday evening at 8:30, uh, 8:30 p.m. So it is GMT -5.30. GMT +5.30. So with that, right, thank you very much. Those who are following with us, this is actually a series. It's called Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. And we'll be continuing these series every week. And thank you for your time. And thank you again, Mohammad Sajan Siddiqui, for your expert opinion and your time. We really appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much, and stay safe and stay blessed.
Thank you.